Queen on her final journey to her resting place. This was, you could say, the long drive preceding what is known as the long walk to where she would be buried. The Queen had a special connection to Windsor Castle, a family home for her entire life, but also her private getaway. And it is inside the chapel on these grounds, beside Prince Philip, that she will forever rest.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, September 19th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. Britain and the world have said a final goodbye to Queen Elizabeth II. Her state funeral today drew presidents and kings, princes and prime ministers, and crowds who massed along the streets of London to honor her and her 70 years on the throne. Thomas Dagler reports from London.
It was a day planned for decades, but also one that many in Britain could never imagine. As Queen Elizabeth's coffin draped in the royal standard was brought to Westminster Abbey, it all became real. London hasn't seen this many foreign dignitaries assembled in the same place for generations. And the royal family has never mourned a monarch who served for this long.
We come to this house of God, to a place of prayer, to a church where remembrance and hope are sacred duties. Here, where Queen Elizabeth was married and crowned, we gather from across the nation, from the Commonwealth, and from the nations of the world, to mourn our loss.
Former British prime ministers have all said they counted on Elizabeth's wise words. 15th in the Queen's reign, Liz Truss only got one audience before the monarch's passing.
Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me.
As emotional and symbolic as the funeral was, some of the most striking scenes were still to come. With the gun carriage transporting the Queen's coffin across central London, her family followed. Crowds lined the route to say their final goodbyes as Elizabeth left London one last time. The hearse taking the motorway for Windsor, where the Queen lived as a child and again through the pandemic. The 5-kilometer-long walk leading to the castle served as the backdrop as locals who considered her a neighbor and royal fans from abroad all came to view the Queen's coffin. Carefully carried up the west steps of St. George's Chapel and into the committal service.
We have come together to commit into the hands of God the soul of his servant Queen Elizabeth.
The Dean of Windsor led the service. The Queen knew him and this 15th century Gothic church where she came to worship. The same place she witnessed weddings and the funeral of her beloved husband just last year. None of those moments were like this one. As the royal jeweler removed the ornate instruments of state, the monarch's orb and scepter and the imperial state crown, it signaled the end of the era of Queen Elizabeth II. King Charles watched with his time as monarch only beginning. His reign won't eclipse his mother's, and this day reminded everyone of its magnitude.
The Queen's final resting place is next to that of her late husband, Prince Philip. This place has seen 1,000 years of royal history, and this moment is as significant as any. Thomas Dagler, CBC News, Windsor, England.
Across the country, Canadians were up before dawn to pay their respects to the Queen. Some gathered at provincial ceremonies and in theaters. Others cooked an English breakfast and watched her funeral at home. Kayla Hounsell followed their day.
It was something 96-year-old Pearl Kavanagh just could not miss.
And it's very sad, and I'm very touched. And I don't know if I'll ever get over it.
Born in Guyana, then a British colony in the same year as Queen Elizabeth, she feels a special connection to the monarch.
She was like a sister to me, even though I've never met her.
her niece moved to tears.
I remember, Mom.
Because the Anglican ceremony so closely resembled that of her mother's, she prepared an English breakfast fit for a queen.
Well, this represents our British heritage, and this is one way of being close to the Queen at this time.
In living rooms and kitchens across the country, Canadians woke early to mourn their monarch.
It's emotional, and it's history.
In Newfoundland, Carla Conway has been a collector of royal memorabilia since she was a child.
I felt it was the need to be involved in some small way to watch it because she was our queen.
At this historic theater in St. John, New Brunswick, visited by then Prince Charles in 1996, people came together to watch.
An opportunity that once in a lifetime to see a funeral of this stature on the big screen.
In Halifax, a multi-faith service open to the public.
I met her and had the chance to speak to her, so it touches my heart, and I just feel we need to be here today.
And a 21-gun salute. A nationwide send-off that included both pomp and pageantry and quiet moments of mourning.
No, I should say goodbye to her, but she will still be reigning in my heart.
With some families finding it difficult to let go of a queen that felt like family. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Halifax.
COVID-19 viral loads continue to be high in several Saskatchewan cities. That's according to the most recent data from the University of Saskatchewan wastewater research team. The most significant jump week over week took place in Prince Albert. In that city, viral loads increased 66% over the week prior. In fact, the city saw its third highest number since the beginning of the study 2 years ago.
What we have been seeing is the trend is going up in the entire the 3 cities we are monitoring, which is consistent with what is happening now in most places. And one of the reasons I think why we are having things like that is because we are opening up and people are beginning to forget that COVID has not gone.
Saskatoon's numbers are up by just under 2% and in North Battleford by about 12%. The military commander who once led Canada's COVID-19 vaccine rollout went on trial for sexual assault today. As Ashley Burke reports, today was the first time of the allegations being made public. And a warning, the story contains sexually graphic details that may be disturbing to some.
Major General Danny Fortin arrived at court wearing his military medals with his wife by his side and maintained his plea not guilty, as the details of the allegations against him were made public for the first time. The complainant at the center of the case testified that in 1988, she was an 18 or 19-year-old student at Royal Military College St. John. She said she woke up in the middle of the night and was horrified. She said Fortin was holding her hand on his genitals and using it to masturbate. The woman claims that Fortin was using his other hand to grope her chest. She testified that she tried to move her hand away, but that Fortin tightened his grip and kept going. She said she told Fortin to leave her alone before he did exit the room. The woman said that she immediately recognized Fortin because they were acquaintances in the same squadron, but he was a year ahead of her. The woman identified Fortin in the courtroom and said he looked the same. During cross-examination, Fortin's lawyer questioned what she said were discrepancies in what the woman told military police during interviews. The complainant testified that she stayed quiet about the allegations for decades because she was ashamed, embarrassed, and witnessed other women in the military face reprisals for reporting sexual misconduct allegations. She said last year, during the height of the military sexual misconduct crisis, she trusted the reporting system in place, and that's why she came forward. The case is back here in court tomorrow. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Gatineau, Quebec.
Okay, there's stealing food off your friend or your partner's plate, and then there's this. Watch this feisty beaver in Saskatoon swoop in and steal the dinner of another beaver who was just minding his own business. Mike Digou captured this Friday night as the sun was setting. Must have been a really tasty branch. We'll be back after the break. Hurricane Fiona made landfall over the Dominican Republic today. It's expected to intensify as it continues on a northward path in the Atlantic Ocean. The storm is still hitting parts of Puerto Rico a day after reaching the island, and the governor is calling the damage there catastrophic. Cameron McIntosh has more.
At first light, the first attempts at cleanup after winds packing 140 kilometers an hour swept the island, scattering trees and power lines, initially knocking out power to more than 3 million people. While flooding from up to 76 centimeters of rain in some places wiped out critical roads and connections, including this bridge installed after Hurricane Maria. Hospitals evacuated, while many people fled their homes. We're here because the house is in a flood zone and it's not in very good condition, says Indua Correa Gonzalez, in a shelter with his mother. I'm worried because it's an old house and it needs repairs. We'll see what happens. Damage, injuries are just starting to be assessed. It will take days to fully restore power on an island still recovering from 2017's Hurricane Maria, which struck 5 years ago this week, killing more than 3,000 people and wiping out the power grid. Officials say lessons were learned there. Emergency provisions have been stashed around the island, including water. Hundreds of thousands are currently without. Still, by early assessments, the damage won't be as bad as 2017.
We're basically responding at this point. The next step will be recovery. We're not there yet.
That's not to say it's not severe. Flooding along the Guanibo River is already higher than 2017, up 5 meters in just 24 hours.
Unfortunately, the situation in Puerto Rico is not good and not looking to improve until later today when these bands finally start to pull away.
The Federal Emergency Management Agency is coordinating relief in the American territory. Still, Fiona is far from done, also making landfall in the Dominican Republic. The hurricane expected to only pick up power as it tracks north towards Bermuda later this week. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
And weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. I'm wondering, what is the latest with that hurricane?
Well, it is still churning in the Atlantic, Sam, and a Category 1 storm, but still that means wind gusts sustained, as you heard in that report. They're up to 150 kilometers an hour, now making its way into Puerto Rico. And as you heard in that report, expected to intensify as it heads northward. The Canadian Hurricane Centre now concerned that the eastern Maritimes could be impacted by the time we get to the weekend. Now we'll head west of there, and unfortunately another natural disaster taking place today. This one on the west coast of Mexico, about 600 kilometers west of Mexico City, 7.6 magnitude earthquake. We know of at least one person dead at this point. But the really interesting thing about this is that this has happened on the anniversary of two other major earthquakes. September 19th, 2017, a 7.1 magnitude quake just south of Mexico City, and September 19th, 1985, a major 8.0 magnitude quake devastating Mexico City. And now tsunami advisories were out earlier. We're still looking to see where those are at this point. Does not look like it will impact us here in Canada, though. That is the good thing. For us here on the prairies, though, we are dealing with rainfall this afternoon, and it's falling through much of central Saskatchewan. Some activity was picking up in the southeast part of the province earlier this morning, some thunderstorms, and we were expecting some possibly severe weather, but it looks like all watches at this point have dropped off. Having said that, there is the possibility of some non-severe storms tonight in Regina and the southeastern part of the province, but again, I think those should stay on the non-severe side of things. A lot of activity at the surface level. We have this low-pressure system on the western shores of Hudson Bay, and that has a cold front associated with it, which is bringing through these showers, and as that drapes southward tonight, it will connect with another low that is going to be bringing some heavier rain in east central Saskatchewan. That cold front also going to be dropping temperatures by about 10 degrees for daytime highs, especially in the south part of the province come tomorrow. Widespread scattered showers through much of the province as we head through tomorrow. We are looking at a mostly cloudy day, but then high pressure moves in. That'll clear us out, and we will finally see some sunshine come Wednesday. Now, rainfall amounts for the province, again, this is mostly going to be on the east side of the province between between 10 and 20 millimeters of rain for places like Stony Rapids all the way down to Pelican Narrows. And in the south part of the province, again, it's really that east central region that's going to be seeing the most rain through the night tonight, close to 10 millimeters, and then add another 5 or so as we go through the day tomorrow into Wednesday. Wind gusts going to be picking up associated with those showers tomorrow morning, especially gusting to 50 kilometers an hour, up to 60 by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon in southeastern portions of the province. And then as that high pressure moves in, we do start to see those wind gusts diminish. Now for Regina, we are not looking for too much in the way of showers tomorrow, but a big temperature difference, more than 10 degrees as we head to tomorrow, and then temperatures will get closer to where they should be for this time of year. In Saskatoon, a similar picture, not too much in the way of rainfall, but still quite a cool, drizzly, rainy day. And as fall arrives, Sam, looks like we'll actually have a pretty nice day to start it.
And it looks windy, which could mean the leaves go real quick.
That's right. Get the rake out.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Canada leading Queen Elizabeth II's funeral procession in London. Members of the RCMP and the Canadian Armed Forces took part in the somber carriage procession for the late monarch. Millions of people lined the streets of the city to watch the procession, throwing flowers and bowing as the Queen's casket passed by. I'll have more on the funeral after the break. Stay with us. It's been a long day of solemn ceremonies marking the death of the Queen. Her state funeral was held earlier today and thousands of dignitaries attended from around the world. Hundreds of thousands of people lined the route that led from the funeral service at Westminster Abbey to her final resting place at Windsor Castle. Here are some of the sights and sounds of the day.
We gather from across the nation, from the Commonwealth, and from the nations of the world to mourn our loss. To remember her long life of selfless service and ensure confidence, to commit her to the mercy of God, our Maker and Redeemer.
O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory?
Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you.
Service in life, hope in death. All who follow the Queen's example and inspiration of trust and faith in God can with her say, we will meet again.
Go forth upon thy journey from this world, O Christian soul. In the name of God the Father Almighty, who created thee. In the name of Jesus Christ, who suffered for thee. In the name of the Holy Spirit, who strengtheneth thee.
Hi, I'm Todd Noble.
And I'm Bryn Noble.
And we live in Jasper, Alberta. We have a very special memory of the Queen back in 2005 when Bryn was only 2 and was chosen to be a flower girl as the Queen and Prince Philip exited church here in Jasper. Bryn was lined up with a few of the other girls, and she suddenly broke rank and walked up in front of the Queen, lay down on the ground where the Queen stopped, helped Bryn up. Security wouldn't let me go and pick Bryn up, but the Queen then just kind of made sure Bryn was okay and carried on her way. Bryn followed her for a little bit before the Queen passed us, and we were able to go and pick you up finally. But it was a very special moment. We look back on it with fond memories. You remember that?
I don't remember. I was 2, but I won't ever forget because everyone's always reminding me.
Yeah, you'll never live it down.
No, probably not.
That's a pretty special memory. Ethan is back with one last look at tonight's weather.
And after an evening of some thunderstorms possibly in Regina, and we will see some clearing conditions come 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. 10 degrees with sun and cloud. That's almost our daytime high because cloud cover builds in, and we will potentially be seeing some showers at the noon hour. Just 12 degrees. Those west gusts getting close to 50 kilometers an hour. Saskatoon will start the day with cloudy and showery conditions at 10 degrees. Northwest gusts picking up, and then those showers sticking around through the afternoon. Again, very close to the daytime high of 13, 11 degrees at the noon hour. Northwest gusts getting quite breezy as well. And all these cloudy skies, well, they make us want some sunnier days. And Bob grabbed this beautiful shot up at Paynton Beach in Prince Albert National Park. Gorgeous conditions up there the other day. Those September skies, Sam, they never fail to disappoint.
Oh, we'll miss this in January.
We sure will.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And that is it from us tonight. For news anytime, you can always head to our website or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. There is no local late night news tonight. We're back tomorrow at 6. Thank you for watching and have a good night.